Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's special presentations. This evening we have one special presentation, but it is extremely important. So we're very, very glad to be joined by some special folks here, some partners here in the city of Moreno Valley that I will bring up in just a moment. But today we're going to be talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And cancer is a threatening disease that probably most of us have encountered in one way or another, either personally or through friends or family members. It's something that affects many of us. And specifically for the month of October, we like to bring awareness to breast cancer and the pink ribbons that we're all adorning here today. I also do want to give a shout out to Sandy from the Moreno Valley Flower Box for graciously donating these. Sandy, if you're watching at home, thank you so much for giving us these pink ribbons. Really appreciate it. Thanks again to the Flower Box. And I do want to just take a brief moment before I call up our guests and then read a little bit of the proclamation that we have here to share just a brief personal story, actually, as I alluded to just a second ago. Breast cancer and cancer in general, for that matter, is something that probably all of us have encountered in one way or another. And my grandmother, who a few years ago passed away, actually had breast cancer just right before passing away. And, I still remember like it was just yesterday that she was here, and, we were taking her to her doctor's appointments and all of that. And so, cancer is definitely something that obviously we never want to see or don't wish that on anybody, but it is something that, today we're making sure to put a spotlight on it and making sure that we're recognizing not only the folks that have to deal with that, but also the folks that are helping everybody that deals with breast cancer to make sure that they get the health care that they need, the services and the support that they need as well. So just wanted to share a brief personal story there. And as you all know, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but breast cancer is a deadly disease that targets everyone, despite women having a much higher risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer as opposed to men. Thankfully, however, breast cancer is treatable when caught early on, and with the help from our healthcare providers and loved ones, we can defeat this disease. With that being said, with us today, we have a great organization that helps tremendously with preventing, treating, and conquering this disease, and that is Kaiser Permanente and its chief of surgery, Dr. Tara Wilson, also accompanied by David Matza. Did I get that right? Awesome. Well, if you guys would like to join me up at the mic, and if we could give them a big, warm welcome, please. Plenty of space. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And, Doctor, thank you for being here, for all the work that you all do. Kaiser is an amazing partner with us here in the city of Moreno Valley, and we're really excited for that expansion that officially was completed last year, and we look forward to more of that happening in the future. So we cannot thank you all enough, along with all of the hardworking frontline workers that also are there every single day, day in and day out, to make sure that the community has everything that they need. We truly appreciate it. And before I turn the mic over to you, I would like to read just a little bit of what's on the proclamation. And that reads, whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month was founded in 1985 through a partnership between the American Cancer Society and Imperial Chemical Industries, with the main goal of increasing awareness of the disease whilst raising funds to increase research into the causes, prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and cure for breast cancer. And whereas 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, with 2023 alone having an estimated 300,000 women in the United States being diagnosed with breast cancer. And whereas breast cancer, when caught in its earliest stages, has a survival rate of 99% due to the advancements in detection and treatment methods in recent years that stem from the awareness and generous donations made to this campaign. And whereas the city of Moreno Valley acknowledges the additional psychological and emotional stress induced after a diagnosis and wishes to tell all members of the Moreno Valley community that you are cared for. And whereas we honor the incredible resilience of breast cancer survivors and offer our heartfelt support to those currently battling this disease. The city of Moreno Valley also recognizes and remembers all those who have passed fighting this terrible disease. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and city council of the city of Moreno Valley, on behalf of our residents and staff, does hereby recognize the month of October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the mic over to Dr. Wilson to share a few words. Dr. Wilson?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Mayor, and also our council members and all of everyone supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October and the awareness that this month brings to breast cancer is huge. There are people who every day continue to use this time as a wake-up call. It really does get passed by, right? And who gets breast cancer? It's our mothers, it's our grandmothers, it's our sisters and our cousins, right? These are the matriarchs of our family. I do agree that about 1% of men can get breast cancer. 1% of the total can get breast cancer, but who's really being impacted is the entire family, right? Because moms lead families, grandmas lead families, like you said. So there are women who go every single day. What happens with moms? You get into a rut, you go, and you forget about yourself. You forget about it's time for my mammogram. So the pink ribbons make a difference, right? And we do see a definite rise in mammograms during the month of October, because people remember, oh, I got to go do this. So the proclamation identifying this month is really important. Kaiser does a very phenomenal job of, we go from the pre to the active disease and then afterwards. And the pre is the accessibility to mammograms, right? As we expand, as you said, we're putting mammograms in multiple campuses. You can get a mammogram right here at the D&T building. You can get a mammogram over in Riverside, and we just recently added down in Marietta. So first of all, let's get an early diagnosis. An early diagnosis, get it with the mammogram. So expanding that, putting the mammograms right in women's communities. You don't have to go to the D&T. You can actually go over to the Heacock building, right here in Moreno Valley. So putting mammograms, accessibility, so that mom we talked about who's picking her kids up from school can run over and get their mammogram done. So I think Kaiser is very good about being a reminder. They send text messages. They send so many communications to let you know, hey, you're overdue. Another thing we implemented a few years ago, which has really had another impact, is any doctor you see can remind you, push you, encourage you to get your mammogram. The story I remember so much, it was a woman I took care of, and what do we say? A typical mom hadn't had her mammogram in a couple years, and it was time for her to go in to get a knee replacement. Okay, so she's right in that perfect range. The average woman who gets diagnosed today is about 61 years old. So she needed a knee replacement. She went to her orthopedic doctor, and he said, oh, you need your mammogram. Why is an orthopedic doctor talking about a mammogram, right? He's talking about the knee replacement. But that is encouraged amongst all of us. And so she was like, oh, yeah, I got to do that. And he said, I think you should do it today. Right? It's been 3 years. I think you should do it today. And so she said, okay, if you say so. And he called me and he said, I told her, I say so. And so she did go down. She did find a breast cancer, and we took care of her, and it was very early. And she has a very good success and a long life to live, especially with her new hip. Okay? So I think the importance of communicating, getting the word out, definitely makes a big impact in catching an early cancer. When I finished my training 20 plus years ago, we were not where we are today. And so we have much more advanced stage 3 and stage 4 cancers. Most of our cancers we find now are stage 1 and stage 2, which are definitely treatable. Now that you've been diagnosed, when you get actively treated, I run a department of 25 surgeons. 20 of those that's just in this area. So we have a plethora of surgeons. 20 of those 25 do breast cancer. The other 5 do other types of treatment, but 20. So we have a plethora of surgeons that can take care of you, again, at the multiple campuses. Not everybody, like it used to be when I joined Kaiser years ago, had to go to Riverside, right? We're right here in the community, right? We're down in South County. We're here in Moreno Valley. So we have multiple surgeons to take care of you. When you compare, right, the average woman who gets diagnosed, it takes her about a month and a half, 4 to 6 weeks to see a surgeon. And for us, we're getting patients in within about 3 to 4 days, right? Not into surgery, but you meet your surgeon in 3 to 4 days. So now you have a game plan. You're more at peace. You know somebody's on your team, right? And then the long-term pathway and time with Kaiser really helps to close the loop, right? It really helps you to know somebody's got me, right? This diagnosis is treatable, it's beatable, it's doable. And so the long-term pathway with Kaiser really just, I feel, makes those women feel really comforted. And also, I generally say, because of the statement I made in the beginning, breast cancer is a family disease, right? Because when mom's knocked out, kind of impacts the family, right? When grandma gets hit, you know, that makes an impact to the next generation. So really taking this time to say that we're going to acknowledge this is huge. The other thing is I practice in Moreno Valley since I've joined Kaiser, and I've been here 15 years. I've been at the Moreno Valley campus right at the time of the purchase of the building. I'm saying that because practicing here as a woman of color, I know the city has a lot of people of color, right? And that is huge because people of color tend to get diagnosed later, right? If everyone were diagnosed at stage 1, everyone would do well, right? If you are being diagnosed at stage 1 and somebody else is diagnosed at stage 3, then the playing field is not set the same, right? So where am I going with this? I think honoring this day, proclaiming it to the people of color who are getting diagnosed later, that makes an impact, right? They see the pink ribbons. They know the mayor is behind this, right? It is always about leadership setting the tone, right? As the chief in the department, I do take care of a lot of breast cancer patients, and literally before I drove over here from the hospital, I texted our breast care coordinator and I said, hey, there's 2 people waiting to be seen by a surgeon. Add them to my schedule tomorrow, right? Because that time of waiting is a big time. But so I wanted to kind of come back full circle to say the impact in this community is big. And so I thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. That was so perfectly said. I will let that just kind of sink in, and I won't say anything else. So with that being said, I would like to actually invite my colleagues on the council if they'd like to come down so we could take a group picture as we formally present this proclamation on behalf of the city of Moreno Valley to Kaiser for all the amazing work that you all are doing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, we could take a quick group picture.
You guys are centered.
Oh, okay.
What am I? Scoot in on the side a little bit, and get you two to scoot in just a there we go. All right. And 1, 2, and 3. All right, we're good.
Alrighty, and one more big round of applause for Kaiser for all the work that they're doing in the community. We could not do this without you, and so we appreciate you being here once again with us, and look forward to continued collaborations with you as well. And that actually concludes our special presentations for this evening. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for our regular council meeting. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley. The City Council receives a separate stipend from the Community Services District if any CSD business is conducted at this meeting. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order on October 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Delgado. Please remain standing after the pledge for the invocation given by Pastor David Rivera from Oasis Church.
Please join me in placing your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, City staff. Would you please join me in prayer? Father God, as we gather in this chamber this evening, we thank you for the many blessings that you have given us here in the City of Moreno Valley. For these elected officials and their staff and all that have come here to discuss matters that will impact this city, I pray for your leading in these discussions and the decisions to be made, that collectively there be agreement and a spirit of cooperation for the good of the residents of Moreno Valley. Lord, today, before them will be several matters to discuss. May you guide them that they will execute the roles that you have placed them in. May we as residents be respectful of this process which has guided us all these years. And as we sit here and look at these city leaders and officials, remind us, Lord, of the words that are on the wall behind them, that in God we trust. Lord, this city has many needs. There are those who are hurting and in need of guidance and resources that this leadership team will make possible in this city to make this a better city for all to live in. There are economic challenges, emotional, mental, and physical needs as residents in this city. Many are worried about the safety of our children, our seniors, and all residents, concerned about future outcomes of elections and ballot measures, and proposals that are being put forth to be voted on. Help us, Lord, to make the right decisions. We are all a very diverse group of people, a large demographic population who coexist here in Moreno Valley. Help us to do so in a peaceful and respectful way, in a way that honors each and every resident and acknowledges you, Lord. Now, Lord, I pray for the safety and protection of the men and women who serve our city, for the city leaders, their support staff, for the men and women of law enforcement, our fire department, the medical teams, the educators throughout our city, for the businesses that they may flourish even in difficult economic times, for the various houses of faith and all community-based organizations. We pray for the recreational activities that we enjoy, that you would grant us peace and safety throughout our city. Lord, we pray that the city of Moreno Valley would be one that would be set apart here in the Inland Empire because of the words that are placed on that wall, that in God we trust. I pray these things in the name of your holy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much for that beautiful invocation, Pastor Rivera, and thank you as well for yesterday's event there at Oasis Church with the Sheriff's Department. That was amazing. That brings us next to item D, which is a roll call. Madam Clerk, I'll turn it over to you.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Here.
Councilmember Delgado.
Here, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Bernard.
Here.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That brings us to E, which we will not need to take up, seeing as we are all present. Item F is staff introductions, please.
Patty Rodriguez, Acting City Clerk.
Paul Radvica, Deputy City Clerk.
Stephen Quintanilla, City Attorney.
Mike Lee, City Manager.
Brian Mohan, Assistant City Manager, Administration.
Lana Jimenez, Chief Financial Officer, City Treasurer.
Sean Kelleher, Assistant City Manager, Development.
Angelica Fraustalupo, Community Development Director.
Melissa Walker, Director of Public Works.
Jeremy Bubnick, Director of Parks and Community Services.
Robert Cardenas, Human Resources Director.
Bruce Esparza, Director, Economic Development and Housing.
Sarah Mack, Chief of Police.
And Jesse Park, Fire Chief.
Thank you very much, staff. It's always a pleasure to be here to conduct the city's business in the council chamber. We will go ahead and move to item G, which is approval of order of the agenda. And I look to my colleagues on the dais to see if there's a motion to approve the order of the agenda.
Motion to approve the order of the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Please call for the vote. And that passes unanimously with 4 yeses, which brings us to item H, which is public comments on matters that are not on the agenda. Please be advised that the city is currently offering Spanish translation services. If anyone is interested in these services, please let the city clerk or our staff know. La ciudad actualmente ofrece servicios de traducción al español. Si alguien está interesado, por favor, nos avisan. Before we move on to the public comments, I would like to remind everyone to direct their comments to the city council. For comments on items that are on tonight's agenda, each speaker will have a total of 3 minutes to comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
We do, Mayor. The first 3 speakers are Brandon Carn, followed by Jose Chavez, followed by Daryl Terrell.
Good evening.
All right, so I wanted to comment at first on the closing comments of the last city council meeting, mainly coming from the mayor, that the idea that there's an art museum in development in the city of Moreno Valley, which I believe is absolutely false and is just being said as a campaign moment. The reason I say that was because 2 years ago, there was discussion about having a history museum in the city, and the Historical Society was brought here, as were a bunch of commissioners and a bunch of people. In 2 years, not an ounce of that has materialized. So why would we have an art museum materialize suddenly in any way, shape, or form? So that is just campaign rhetoric. That will not happen. And even if we did spend that, I'm a critic of the Ontario Art Museum, which I don't think was well designed. We don't need one here. There are many other uses for that funding. Someone recently came up to me, a resident asked me to look at the mayor's 460s, his campaign forms, particularly recently. And he was one of the votes on a charter school and a church, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll look into it again if I am, that the city gave thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to in the last several months. And all of a sudden that money has returned on his 460s from those 2 donors. And they were asking me, because they think I'm a little more experienced with it, is that act illegal? I looked into it and reread through it. I do believe it was illegal. So we will both be filing a formal complaint with the FPPC and others to look into that, because the vote was illegal and we will be reviewing it. And this is not the first time Cabrera has been caught in these types of allegations. Did anyone remember a few years ago when former County District Attorney Rod Pacheco filed a class action lawsuit against the city of Moreno Valley? That was when they had the cannabis dispensary permits coming forward. And Cabrera is personally named in that lawsuit by multiple plaintiffs, complaining that he was part of the process rigging that, so it wasn't objective. And I know it was factually happening because I remember being here in the council chamber and there being his high school friends, people from Compton, people here from Moreno Valley going up, shaking his hand, looking very excited because they had a friend on the city council that was going to give them first access to the permits. And going back to all those documents, the campaign donors and his friends were the first ones to get it. So that is not something I would vote to have reelected. I voted early last week. I did not vote for Cabrera. I'm urging anyone in the city to just start over and begin again. And I'm not just picking on Cabrera. School board has done a horrendous job. I'm a former MVUSD teacher. Both school districts have done a horrendous job spending money. I would urge everyone to vote anyone that is running for re-election on both those school boards to not vote for them, to vote them all out. And I voted against every tax proposition in the city that has been proposed. So they don't spend our money wisely. We should not be giving them more of it. Only thing I'll say about the election is please vote yes on Proposition 3. We need to protect marriage equality in California, and we need to stop discriminating against people in California.
The next 3 speakers are Jose Chavez, followed by Daryl Terrell, followed by James Armour.
Did you want to test the mic to make sure? It sounds like it's working.
It's working.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. I saw most of the people, they are new one.
It's not many like used to be before. But I'm glad, I have so many years I ever come to these meetings for my medical conditions. But speed tables and Chagall. Even yesterday, after the guy was running over 100 miles, speeding in Chagall, the helicopter was on the top to give you warnings. And I passed the notice to the person was held, Mr. Cabrera, and he passed the notice to everyone, and they say, okay, only. They should make me an appointment to talk to everyone, and no one does. They ignore me. I feel discriminated in that particular situation because there's 2 times I turned in all the paperwork and they ignored me. Second time, they sent me all the papers from the city, collect the signatures and everything I done. I turned it in, but they said nothing happened. And I feel, and I told you, open mind, I feel discriminated by the person that's in charge for fire department, a chief. This the only one person is lack the process to doing those speed tables right there. That's the only one opposition I have. Clearly, in open mind, I say that particular person, they should not be here to discriminate our community. In that particular area is a minors low class. That's why he doesn't put any attention, he ignoring everything. And every person will receive a notice for me, they say, oh, okay, fine. But it's not the point. They should make a date for the appointment. They go sit down with me and talk to bring it up to fix the problem. So I wasn't feel good the way they are handle this situation. I follow up all the restrictions from the city, but they ignore it. Simple. And the only person was sitting right there and say no. They have the money, they have the employers, they have everything, but he's the only one person. He don't want to give you a pass to doing that. My question.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. The 3 minutes is up, but thank you for letting us know about that so that we can make sure to follow up with you. So I'll ask the transportation department if they can connect with you right now so that we can make sure that we follow up on that. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Daryl Terrell, followed by James Armour, followed by Julie Pedrosa.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm not speaking to you as a planning commissioner, but as myself. As our city approaches its 40th birthday, I've been thinking about our future as a city and what we can be. I'm reminded of President Kennedy's speech at Rice University in 1962, because it was there he articulated his bold vision saying, we choose to go to the moon in this decade, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. President Kennedy took a seemingly impossible goal, something never attempted in human history, and made it a mission. 7 years later, Neil Armstrong turned the moonshot goal into reality. It wasn't easy, but with vision to guide them and that famous American work ethic, they got it done. So can we. With vision, we can take this city to a higher horizon that we only could dream of. We have been a community that's proven that we can accomplish anything when we put our differences aside and we together for a common good. Our very democracy depends on people being able to disagree with one another and still be able to work together. Our city is surrounded by high growth industries like advanced manufacturing, healthcare, logistics that pays a livable wage, and economic mobility to keep you, our residents, closer to home. However, there are limited career paths to get to them. Not all of these middle class jobs need a 4-year degree, but the ones that don't need a college degree, you need some specialized training. Over the next 5 years, let us create a high-growth industry apprenticeship training program, not only to attract new industries, but to create a direct career paths to unfilled careers in those industries by working with Moreno Valley College, the county, and those industries in the creation of the Mobile Earn and Learn Center, leveraging resources and sharing costs. We can do this. The city of Paris have a skill training job placement center. The city of Jurupa will have an Inland Empire Technical Center. What about us? Our city is the second largest city in the county. We, the people in this community, deserve to have a training facility instead of going to Jurupa, instead of going to Paris. We deserve it. As mayor, this is what I'm going to do. I advocate this on the next over the next year to build this center because we as people can do it. We have the technology, we have the corporation, we have a college in our own backyard, and the people in this community deserve to have it. It's more than what the Burke has. So I'm going to commit myself to have that center built. Thank you.
The next three speakers are James Armour, followed by Julie Pedroza, followed by Christopher Baca.
Hello, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. It's an honor to be here again. I've been super busy with Inland Compassion. We've been putting in work. Last time I was here, I shared with you guys that we were needing a little extra help, staffing issues to be able to have a greater capacity. And we forged a partnership with Reach Out. I just had a brain fart for a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we formed a partnership with Reach Out, and they're providing us with CHW interns, which has helped us significantly with our case management. So these past 2 months, we were able to have our reach increased by at least 200%. I was doing the percentages right now because in August we served 48 unhoused individuals, and with the help of the CHWs, we were able to reach 146, which I thought was amazing. And then also the total amount of people we served, so in August was 61, last month was 161. So I'm pretty excited, and we were able to house a lot of people too. So altogether this year we've housed 50 people. So I'm really proud of that because it's really hard. It's really hard out here. There's no open beds, right? So we have to really do thorough assessments using every resource we can to get people off the streets, because being chronically homeless and unsheltered is very difficult. But altogether this year, we've served 1,080 individuals with our outreach. And so I'm pretty happy about that, very excited. I'm also in my doctorate program right now at CBU for social work. And part of my dissertation is to implement the CESI model, which is called the Community Engagement Social Innovation Model. So basically, it's using the community participation, community stakeholders, research and innovative methods to come up with a program that actually addresses one of the grand challenges of social work. So the grand challenge of social work that we are tackling is ending homelessness. So that's what we're going to be working on for the next 2 years. We're creating this program to address homelessness, specifically chronically unsheltered homeless, the ones you see on the streets, and to come up with a program that will involve not only the unhoused but the stakeholders to help address the factors that cause homelessness. So for the chronically homeless, it's substance use, family disruption, lack of income, and unemployment. So we can figure out a program that tackles those factors with the help of the CHWs. Of course, with Cal Baptist University by our side, it's going to be a beautiful next 2 years, and it's an exciting time right now. So I hope everyone goes out and votes, and thank you.
The next three speakers are Julie Pedroza, followed by Christopher Baca, followed by Joanne Steffen.
Good day, Julianne, Building Up Lives Foundation. I wanted to thank James here from Inland Compassion. He is partnering with us with our food program. So he's bringing 150 or more prepared meals already for our program on Sunday. We already do food Sunday at 2:30 at our Hemlock location, and we serve anywhere between 150 to 400 people with food. as well as our food booth at Our Place Restaurant. An odd conception, but that restaurant is open from 8 to 2, and he has a booth in the corner, and we fill it with canned goods, rice, beans, Panera bread. Kaiser participates in some food that have to be refrigerated, so when they come in, they sign in, and they just ask the server, hey, is there any food in the refrigerator? What do you got? And you're able to get emergency food 7 days a week, including holidays. I wanted to stress that the holidays are coming as well. We do our Christmas in our parking lot on Christmas Day, so elderly that don't have any place to go to, they come to us. The unhoused come to us as well. We feed them toys, entertainment, everything. I also want to stress now that rainy season is coming around the corner, we do not do two things. We don't give out tents, and we don't give out fabric blankets unless they're in a car or in some type of house, garage, couch, whatever. These are Mylar blankets. I'll show you. And they fold up. This is what they do in the snow. They fold up pretty small. They're about 60 cents to $1. This is what we hand out. It actually can act as a tarp. It's very, very big. This is why I wanted to open it up. It can act as a tarp, so when it's raining, they can protect their stuff. They protect them. It does a couple things. As you can hear this sound, some of them with mental health don't like that sound. So when we give it to them and then come back and see them and see they keep going for a cloth blanket. Now we got a little insight that they might have a mental health condition. But see how big? Not even folded in complete. That's half. So it's very large. They can use it for, like I said, protect themselves. This is what they give out in snow rescue. So that tells you how warm this will be. The only downfall, again, is mental health. Some of them with autism does not like the sound or the texture. So again, as we do outreach and we see them on the streets and we're like, wait a minute, we just gave Johnny a blanket, but he's with a cloth, and it repeatedly happens. Now we can ask the questions, hey, could it be that he has an underlying something going on there? And hopefully with whatever that something is, we can do more research in getting them off the streets. Real quick, Tony is getting into housing.
Thank you.
The next three speakers are Christopher Baca, followed by Joanne Steffen, followed by Russell Schaefer.
Good afternoon, community staff and elected officials. My comments are my own. They're not influenced by anybody but God Almighty. I just want to point out that I'm not part of I don't believe in the prosperity gospel. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I do believe in righteous anger. And what I'm really angry about right now is the belittlement of our mayor and the mockery he did to the Catholics about 2 years ago during his campaigning for mayor. He was taking a course for political science. I don't know if it was Christian University or, I'm sorry, not Christian, but whatever it's called.
UCR.
And UCR or UCR, I'm not sure which one it is. But he was in a class with the padre from St. Christopher's, and he decided to create this big stunt in order to get votes from the Catholics. So he decided, between him and the padre, decided to do a protest on the Winchell's Donut, which was about to open. The whole process to complain or to grievance over the sale of alcohol and tobacco across the street from a church was done years ago, and he knew very well too. He voted against it. He voted for it. He actually voted for it. The mayor actually voted for the Winchells. Then he's out there on a stunt with the father in order to get the Catholic vote during his campaign for mayor, protesting the opening of the Winchells. That is a stunt and a half, and that should be legal. And he should be ashamed for using the church in that manner. And to boot, he was mocking the Catholics as though they're ignorant people, being he's from some prosperity gospel church or something. But whatever the case is, shame on you, and may God help you. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Joanne Steffen, followed by Russell Schaefer, followed by David Zeitz.
Yes, I'm here not as a planning commissioner, but as a 40-year resident on my own behalf. I witnessed quite a few times. I've been up to the Dollar Tree and Sunnymead Ranch, and I'm so afraid that that little store is going to close down. It's the only thing that's there. But about the time that the kids are released from either Vista Heights, Canyon Springs, they converge on that Dollar Tree. I witnessed it myself. There was about 50, 60 kids, and they all just go in there. They start stealing. I witnessed it myself. It's not something that's hearsay. They used to have police officers out there, and I think the resources just were, too much. So now they have what they call security, which are two guys in golf carts. They're doing absolutely nothing. I don't know. The people that were in there, like me, were saying there's no consequences for these actions. I witnessed a boy take 2 drinks from the cooler, start walking out, putting it behind his back, and I just instinctively said, "Did you pay for that?" And he said, "Yes." I mean, I know he didn't. He was just going out the door. I mean, are we gearing our children to become thieves? They get out of school. They're supposed to be learning something at school, and now they're, learning that they can steal without any consequences. It was, all of us that were adults in there said that it was sad. I'm still sad at it because I have children, grandchildren, and that's not the behavior that we want to teach our children. I mean, we need to do something. I know that, Ed, you said that library's open. They're not going to go to the library. They're not. There's nothing there for them. They can't take anything at the library. They have to learn something. So they want to be able to take something. I mean, what they're taking from the Dollar Tree is almost ludicrous because let's face it, $1.25 for those items that's maybe worth 25, 30 cents. They're taking just to take, and when they learn that learned behavior that they can take something and nobody's going to do anything about it, they're going to keep doing it. And then when they get to be adults, they're going to end up in the penal system. That's what's going to happen because they're not just going to take a $1.25 item. And I just felt compelled to come and talk about it because that's all we have here is Dollar Tree stores now. That's all we have. We got to go all the way to Moreno Beach to even go to stores. Yeah, we can go to Riverside. I've opted not to do that on Day Street because we're giving our tax dollars there. So I've opted not to do that. I stop right on the border of Costco and Lowe's and things like that. But it just saddens me that they've got a license to do this. I almost wanted to volunteer and stand at that door and say, you got a receipt? If you don't have it, put it in the basket. I think that's what they need to do. I mean, I can't tell people what to do, but I'm just afraid that store's...
Thank you. I know it flies by.
I wasn't even criticizing.
Thank you.
The next three speakers are Russell Schaefer, followed by David Zeitz, followed by Bob Palomares.
Okay, election year is upon us and our city needs drastic changes. For the last couple of years, I haven't seen much of a change at all, and it begins with the mayor position. I believe as a mayor, you should take constructive criticism, which Cabrera, you don't. And like you said, Cabrera, you're unable to work with all the city councilmen up there. I'm not naming names, but this is exactly why everyone should vote for Darrell Otero for city council, for city mayor. He is a product of Moreno Valley, and he is committed to the people of this community. He is the best candidate for Moreno Valley mayor. He is Mr. Moreno Valley. Also, District 1 should re-elect Mrs. Baca Santa Cruz, and District 3 should elect Alvin DeJarnay for District 3 councilman. And these are my personal opinions. I still don't understand why you turned down the Hillwood project, Cabrera. And also, you filed a frivolous lawsuit against one of the residents. This has become way too much. You need to concentrate on the city, which you haven't. And photo ops don't get nowhere. Vote for Daryl Terrell for mayor, you guys. He's the best guy out there. It ain't no puzzle and ain't no mystery.
The next three speakers are David Zeitz, followed by Bob Palomares, followed by Luis Palomares.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My comments are my own. I just want to let you guys know you missed an excellent concert last Thursday night. I don't know if any of you were even aware that there was one, our Moreno Valley Wind Symphony. I always have trouble with that word. Did a beautiful job. They do 3 or 4 concerts a year, all by donations. They've worked very hard to put on these shows. I'm thinking maybe once we get this arts money freed up, we might be able to help them out a little bit, because they do pay for rental trucks when they move all their equipment. They have to pay for a storage unit to keep their equipment in. They have a large nut to crack every month just to keep this going, and it's all volunteer. There's kids from high school all the way up to senior citizens playing in this, and it's a beautiful concert. I don't have the date in front of me, but the winter concert will be excellent, and I wish the city would promote it a little more, maybe on their website. Thank you.
The next two speakers are Bob Palomares, followed by Luis Palomares.
Good evening. I would like to salute our chiefs and the departments that they run. Ed, when you spoke about looking into the different bonds and propositions, I did. Prop 5. They want to lower the threshold to pass bonds. In my opinion, they should raise it, because if they lower the threshold, big corporations that spend money to get them, they're going to buy votes, and all the burden is going to fall on the citizen, the taxpayer. How many bonds are there across this state right now? And then in this city itself, we have our own. But as they all accumulate to the taxpayer, it makes it hard. There's going to be more homeless people trying to, as it is, I was reading in the paper, some people are spending like 32% of their income on rent, maybe more, so. Well, no, I'm 5. And then 34, Proposition 34, that kind of keeps an eye on the nonprofit scammers, the big buck ones. Not the ones that we have here that need that money that the scammers are taking in. Corporations again. So another one we need to watch out for. Prop 34. I seen on Rivera's campaign sign says honesty. I said, man, I wonder where you found that word. And then Mr. Carnes was talking about that he got money, campaign money from 2 nonprofits. Well, that's called kickback on the streets. You can call it anything else here. And I always wanted to talk a little bit about 4 years ago, when we had, the staff was small. We were on a skeleton crew with the staff. They were doing an amazing job. We were getting awards, all kinds of stuff. And it seems like now we're pretty much up to par with staff, and it seems like the city's lagging. And it may not be staff, somebody might be contributing to that sits up there. But, it's I noticed these things just from coming here, because I remember all the awards we were receiving, from all over. And now I see that we've fallen back, and we got pretty much a full staff. So we need to take a good look at that. Thank you.
The next speaker is Luis Palomares.
Luis Palomares, community activist. Well, we could send a man to the moon, I'm telling you. What does it take an act of Congress to get the city up and running in the right direction? Because we have gone backwards instead of forward. You look all around the city, it looks like hell, if you ask me, a lot of the places. And sure, we send Hillwood away. All that money we could have had. Tons of money with Hillwood. I'll never get over that one, because It was going to bring jobs, $30 million to the city, plus taxes for the school board, plus taxes for the community here. It was going to bring us a baseball diamond, soccer fields, a team post, and they were going to even mow the lawn and water the grass. We wouldn't even have to do anything. What the heck's wrong here, Mayor? You're the one that's leading the charge here. You're the one that's the one that's put a stop to a lot of this. The Hillwood project, you voted that out. There's been housing, you voted that out. There's been gas stations, you voted that out. But, you know, for all this other stuff, it's all about it. Let's do it. Let's raise taxes. I mean, come on. We got a lot of things on the ballot. Tons of taxes, tons of taxes. The school board with their $398 million Measure M, we still got 20 years to pay on that bond. But now they want to push another bond on us, make our schools safe. Our police are the ones that help with that, you know, keep things going. You know, I mean, how are we? I mean, they use all, so they're going to put more police over there to keep our schools safe. I don't think so. I don't think so. It's just a big lie. You know, fixed buildings. They got a lot of new buildings there. A lot of new buildings in our campuses. Teach our kids. Teach them the 3 R's. That's what they need to do. That's an expensive bond. $240 million they want to pass on us again. Then the bond for the college bond. That's another bond. They already have now they want to put another bond on us. Then the penny tax here. You know, I go buy a car over here in Moreno Valley. It's going to cost me less, you know, maybe $600 less than if I go to the other cities because the taxes are lower here. This is what they're doing. These are all on your property. Look at your property bill. It's hurting us. And Bob's saying about a third of the income? Hell no, half of your income. I got granddaughters are paying $2,500 in rent. I don't even, rent, mind you. One of them loses their job, what's going to happen? They're going to have to move in with parents, grandparents. It's hard, it's rough out there. And I say no more taxes. And Mayor Cabrera, you're the one that's leading the charge. Lead us in the right direction for a change. You know, not with all of these murals. I mean, we can't eat murals. We can't eat murals. You know, this is, your people came and lobbied. Your people came and lobbied. A lot of people wanted to donate to do those murals, but you gave them the big bucks, 60, 70, 40,000, 25,000 to wrap one of those utility boxes, $18,000. What's going on here?
Thank you.
The last speaker is Roy Bleckard.
Louise mentioned the 3 R's, and I would just remind everybody the 3 R's are Roy, Roy, Roy. So we're getting on the 40-year anniversary of this becoming a city. I will remind everybody, it once was Bob's Big Boy, now Black Bear. The first city council meeting was started illegally, held illegally. We're still keeping that tradition. We have a mayor who, according to the district attorney's office 2 years ago with the October surprise or whenever it was, committing criminal activity, violating the trust of the people. This is why this city will never go anywhere. This is why it's known as a clown show. Continuing today, you cannot put an honest ballot title and summary on Measure U. First, that money is spent by whatever 3 people in the city council is, and that should be the first thing that was said. And then, if you're going to list things, you should list everything it could be spent on. This is why the people have no trust in our politicians, in staff, or anyone else, because we do not stand up. It is a 13% proposed raise in the sales tax. Let's be honest about it. Figure it out. I see the perplexed looks up there. It's a reflection of our education system. It's a reflection of what we've taught generations, and it's a reason why we're sitting here talking about homelessness, talking about people walking out of the stores and not paying for it. time we acted with a little intelligence. It's time we acted with a little compassion. It's time we acted with a little honesty. It's time you got your act together. You could start here. You could lead it. Sadly, it never happens, or it never seems to. Vote no on measures X and U because they are bad for you.
Mayor, that concludes all public comments on items not on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers for coming out this evening as well. That brings us now to the consent calendar, which is item I. And we'll go first to the dais for any council questions of staff on any of the consent calendar items. I don't see any at the moment. So we'll go ahead and move into public testimony. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on the consent calendar?
No, Mayor, we do not have any requests to speak.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into council deliberation if desired, and then we can entertain a motion. And I would like to just briefly highlight one item, which is item I-13 on the agenda, the consent calendar. I want to first thank staff and also my colleagues here on the council, and most importantly to our community, specifically our seniors in the city of Moreno Valley and everybody over at the Senior Center. Item I-13 is actually an authorization to award a construction contract to finally begin construction of the Senior Center expansion that we approved almost 2 years ago. So it's really, really good to see this finally before us, and it looks like it's going to get approved so that we can finally get moving on that expansion. I know the seniors have been waiting for that for a long time, so just want to say thank you to staff and looking forward to seeing that under construction. And looking for any other hands here from my colleagues. I don't see any other comments. So if there are no further comments, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Delgado, second by Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz. Please call for the vote. And that passes unanimously with 4 yeses, which brings us to item K. We don't have any items on item J. And for K, we do have a couple of items. First up is K1, which is a discussion regarding possibly rescheduling the starting time of the regular city council meetings, regular closed sessions, and special presentations. And we'll start first with a report from our city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So currently under the city's rules of procedure, which are our local rules, the council's regular meetings are held on the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 6 o'clock p.m. And under our rules, our regular closed session meetings are held on the same days at 4:30 p.m., followed by our special presentations that we have at 5:30 p.m. So tonight, what staff is seeking is that we need direction from the council regarding whether any changes should be made to the starting times of the closed session, special presentation, and or the open sessions of our regular meetings. If there's a decision made to make any changes to the starting times, we will bring back the appropriate resolution to make the appropriate changes to our local rules. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney, for the report. So that'll bring us next to any council questions of staff, if desired. I'm looking to my colleagues to see if anyone has any questions. It doesn't look like it. So we'll go ahead and move into public testimony. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
We do, Mayor. Luis Palomares.
Wow, Luis Palomares, community activist. It'd be great if you start them earlier. You could get more done I guess when you're in closed session and when, for the recognitions and all that, you won't be trying to jam so much in one time and give you more time maybe to think about what Joanne was talking about earlier. Am I on the right one? Okay. What Joanne was talking about earlier, all the smash and grabs over there at the, well, not smash and grabs, but all the things that are going on in all our Dollar Tree stores, not just that one, a lot of them, and it's sad. And it'll give the council more time to look into what could we do about this. I don't know if you can, but we need something done because it's really, the kids get out of school, a lot of things are going on up there, and it's not good. Thank you.
And the next speaker is Roy Blackard.
So we're going to talk this to death, as we've done for decades. You can't straighten this out. This is a commuter community, if you haven't noticed. We used to start these meetings, and ask Ms. Baca, she's been around, at 7 p.m. to give people a chance to come in here and participate. I ran the brief schedule that you had in an email. I've done most of the work for you, have done for years. Do a FOIA request and pull them all. Since I've seen in my previous comments you can't do third grade math, it's no surprise to me and probably most of the community that you can't figure simple things like this out. If you can't figure out simple stuff like this, what do you think we think you're doing when the complicated stuff comes up? This is why, if you would do the study sessions as I've outlined more and do that and run it efficiently, these meetings would run, the regular meetings would run a lot smoother and take a lot less time. That way you could have more people participate and you wouldn't be here till 11 or 2 o'clock. Just go back about 10 years and look at how Tom Owings did it. We implemented some of this stuff. We actually implemented transparency. We actually got the study sessions where we could comment on each individual item and we could comment on non-agenda items. But in Moreno Valley, even though we might have took 1/10 of a step forward, we got to take 87 steps backwards. The sad part of this, and like my other example is, this is a reflection of our community. We allow it. We tolerate it. For whatever reason, but it flat needs to change. This should have been done in a study session. You should have had it already done. When it got to council, it should have been boom, boom. Okay, we maybe make a few tweaks and it's done. No, you're going to drag it out till 87 years like you've done. This same council has done for 2 years and it ain't went nowhere. So keep it up and keep perpetuating the clown show of Moreno Valley.
That completes public comments.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So that brings us now to council deliberation if desired. And we'll go ahead and proceed. And if we need to take a break, we'll take just a minute or two. But is there any council deliberation, any comments at this time? If not, we could take a quick break. Okay, just want to make sure that Mayor Pro Tem gets back so that she can participate in the deliberation as well. So we'll take just a minute or two break and we'll be right back. We are back for our city council meeting. We just took a brief recess and we will pick up where we left off, which was council deliberation. So I will look up to the dais to see if any of my colleagues would like to make any comments or any deliberation. Okay, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
I think that we need to give ourselves more time for closed sessions. I feel rushed when we have special presentations at 5:30 and we have more than one item. I've often felt that we could adjourn or put, on hold closed session and then come back after our regular open session. Or at this time, maybe we could begin at 4 p.m. and then at 6 p.m. start the presentations and then move into open session depending on how many presentations we have. But so that we don't do 5:30 for special presentations, our closed session can have all the time it needs from 4 to 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. we do 1, 2, 3, however many special presentations we have that night, and then move right into open session. But that would give us a full 2 hours. Not that we would need it every time, but if we did need it, then we could take the time, because I understand that we need to post our meeting time, but I would really like to have more time to discuss closed session items if needed.
Councilmember Delgado.
So I agree. When we've gone to council or closed session just recently, these items that we're bringing up in closed session are very important and very important to the city. And because of our time constraints, we get it done, but we feel a little rushed to get it done because we have special presentations at 5:30. So I concur that a 4 o'clock start time for closed session would be appropriate and almost necessary if we see that, if we get a motion in a second, we vote for it. And then the special presentations run right into the 6 o'clock hour, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, so I think just because of, when we go into closed session, we all obviously see that we don't have enough time oftentimes. So definitely agree that we should move our closed session start time to 4 p.m. And make that official. And the special presentations, I don't think it's really an issue at the moment. We usually do have enough time for that.
Keep it at 5:30?
I would be fine either way. I think 5:30 works, but definitely closed session, 100% agree that we should move the closed session to a 4 p.m. start time.
I'm good with that.
Mayor Pro Tem, any comments?
No, I'm good with the 4 p.m. start time. The 4 p.m. start time has been working out very well for us, even creating some breathing space to not feel like we have to rush back down here for special presentations. So I'm fine with special presentations at 5:30. She's over there. Jasmine does pretty good when we have large numbers of running through practice with them first and getting them lined up, and we move through closed sessions pretty good. So I'm good with a 4 p.m. start time because that gives us about roughly 1.5 hours to get through whatever's happening on closed session, which is sufficient. And then 5:30 is still good for presentations, and then just rolling right into the meeting at 6 p.m. And I think one reason I would like to leave it at 5:30 is because I also do want to respect when we do have people come and do or accept awards or presentations. Oftentimes, many of them are coming at the end of their workday, or when parents are coming with their children. They are trying to, get their children here, do what they need to do, and then get them back home because, again, council meetings are during the week. And so they would like to get them home and get with whatever program they have on. So I'm fine with that.
Sounds good. So I think there's some consensus here, hopefully. So if there is no further deliberation or comments, this time I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So I'll motion to move the closed session times to 4 p.m. versus the current 4:30 p.m. and maintain the other two schedules at special presentations at 5:30 and regular meetings at 6. And that's my motion. Seeking a second.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion and a second. If we could please call for the vote. And that passes with 3 yeses and 1 no.
So, Mr. Mayor, so I will bring back a resolution that amends the city council's rules of procedures to require that the regular closed sessions start at 4 p.m. on our regular meeting days.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Appreciate that. So that'll bring us next to item K2, which is an ordinance establishing frequency of regular meetings of the Environmental and Historical Preservation Board. And we will turn it back to our city attorney for a report.
Or set the frequency of our the regular meetings of environmental resolution that sets the time and dates and places of their meetings. So although the ordinance will technically take effect prior to the end of this year, the plan is, based on the direction from the council, is to have the first regular meeting of the board under the ordinance commence in January 2025. And so this just means that starting in January 2025, if this ordinance is adopted, the Environmental and Historical Preservation Board will be having their regular meetings once every month. I should just note that under our municipal code, for the Environmental and Historical Preservation Board, only 3 members are required to constitute a quorum of the board. So that means all we need is 3 to show up, and they can take action to conduct business on behalf of the board. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Appreciate that. That brings us next to any council questions of staff if desired. And I don't see any hands raised. Okay, we have a question from District 1.
Steve, I'm looking at the ordinance with the markups, and it says the board shall hold regular meetings at least one time per month, and the board shall designate the times, dates, and places, and then it has a cross out, and then for its regular meetings. What does the current ordinance say? These are the changes that you're looking for us to adopt, right? So what does it say now? Does it say that the board is going to hold their regular meetings? It's off.
Currently, there is no requirement as to the frequency of their regular board meetings. And so that's what we're inserting into this. So what you see in the staff report, or actually in the ordinance, is a red line version of what the ordinance will provide if it's approved. Does that make sense?
So
Does that answer your question?
Kind of, but so with no changes, they could hold regular meetings once a month without even us changing this?
No, I believe there's another provision in another section of our rules of procedure that speak to the issue of frequency of board meetings.
Is that coming back too?
Pardon?
Will that be coming back to be changed as
This
well
will
then?
supersede it.
It will supersede
Yeah,
it?
this will supersede any general rules you currently have in place regarding the regular meetings of your boards, commissions, and committees.
But there's no reason that they couldn't meet once a month as,
Currently?
with the, yeah,
Yeah, if they took action.
they could make their own action themselves?
Yeah, that's, I understand that you can, unless there is a provision elsewhere, which I believe there might be. Brian, are you aware of the general, is there a general provision elsewhere regarding the frequency of board meetings and commission meetings?
Yes, outside of the codification in the municipal code for each of the various committees that created the committees, there is a policy as to the board's committees' rules and procedures. And that covers all of the, that policy covers all of the boards and committees and the rules of procedures for their particular meetings.
So when we interpret your rules of procedures that are adopted by resolution with the municipal code. It's the whatever in the municipal code will trump whatever is inconsistent in the rules of procedure.
Is there inconsistencies now? The way it's written now, would they be able to meet once a month?
Yeah, give me a second, let me pull that up.
As the city attorney is pulling that up, when the city attorney and I did discuss this, he thought that it would be best to actually codify the regular monthly meeting within the ordinance itself, so that way it was the quickest way to ensure that this particular board and committee gets to the regular monthly meeting, as opposed to potentially changing ordinances and policies, as ordinances trump our policies.
But then that would also require them to come back as a resolution for them to change it back to less frequent. But what I'm understanding is at this time, without any changes, they're allowed to set the frequency. Yet we've been telling them they can't.
Hang on.
For months.
My Wi-Fi is just a little bit slow here. I think I found it here. Boards, commissions, and committees. Oh, regular meetings. Schedule of regular meetings of any board, commission, or committee may be set by ordinance, resolution, or formal action of the city council. So that is the general rule here. Okay, I don't see any other provision here dealing with regular meetings in our local policies.
We're gonna ask, I'm gonna motion to table this item until the next meeting. Have a second.
I'll second the motion.
And the purpose is
We
there
want to be
something you
better
want me to
prepared.
come back
We
with?
want to be better prepared. We'd like to be better prepared and understand where the ordinance is and where the changes need to take place.
So you want me to come back with an
Yeah.
analysis of any rules that you have in place?
And I want to know whether they can have, if they have the autonomy now to set their own meetings.
Okay.
And I think we're a little unprepared, but we're prepared to bring it back. Because there is some meetings in place. It's not high priority. I'd rather get it done right.
And just specifically for this board or for?
Well, we want
general?
information on the boards.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, the direction was just to come back and set the frequency of their board meetings once a month. Okay.
Okay, and just for clarification, Mr. City Attorney, is a motion to table sufficient, or would you like a clear motion based on what you just discussed?
That's up to you. That's up to the council.
Okay, yeah,
It
so.
was my
there's a-
understanding too that this was not going to take effect until January.
Mhm.
That's right. So we have time. Let's make sure we get it done right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Attorney. So, motion to table, and there is a second. Madam Clerk, if we could please call for the vote. And that passes with 4 yeses. So that brings us to item K3, which is to consider cancellation of the November 5th, 2024 regular meeting and meetings of the ancillary governing bodies. Just a point of clarification as well. Since we tabled the item, should we still take public comment for K2, or do we hold that until the item comes
Yeah,
back?
a motion to table takes precedence over everything. So it basically just cuts off everything
Okay.
until it
So
comes back.
the public comment will be whenever the item comes back.
It can be, you can invite public comment on the motion to table if that's what you as presiding officer would like.
Doesn't look like that's the desire of the council. So we'll just wait until the item comes back to take that public comment. Okay, so item K3, the consideration to cancel the November 5th regular city council meeting and minutes of the ancillary governing bodies of the city due to the election day on the same day, which is November 5th. And we will go to our city clerk for a report.
Thank you, Mayor. So this report provides an opportunity for the city council to determine whether or not the regular meeting of the city council and the ancillary governing bodies of the city will be canceled due to the meeting date falling on the same day of the city general's municipal election on November 5th, 2024. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So that brings us to council questions of staff, if desired. Okay, Councilmember Delgado.
So, Madam City Clerk, just for clarification on this, have we done this before? I mean, has this council, I know, but have we done this before? Canceled on election night if the city council meeting fell on election night?
Yes, I provided a chart in the staff report that indicates that. So in 2020, two meetings were canceled due to the falling on the election day, and then two were canceled or were actually held. So it was a split.
So it's fair to say over the past 10 years, the city council has canceled the council meetings when it fallen on election day.
Correct, two.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other council questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into the public comment portion. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
We do, Mayor. Luis Palomares.
Well, Luis Palomares, community activist. Well, whether you do or not doesn't really matter to me too much, but hey, we're going to miss out on that council meeting. So when is going to be the next one after that? 3 weeks after that, I believe. And as far as the K2, everybody looked like in a state of confusion here. You lost me on third base because
Ms.
I didn't know
Palomares,
what was going on up here. I don't think
We're on K3.
I know what we're on, but I'm just saying I was in a state of confusion with everything on number two, on two. K2.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll have public comment on that when it comes back to the council. Thank you.
The next speaker is Chris Baca.
Good evening, community staff and elected officials. I think this is great. I was a little concerned about having the council meeting on the election day being, I don't think anybody can really concentrate on what's going on when there's a major election going on. But with a major election going on, I hope people have registered to vote and primarily vote for the right candidates here for our city, which would be to replace our mayor, Cabrera, with either Daryl Terrell or Hector Diaz, whichever your choice may be. And hopefully that doesn't dilute the possibility of having a new mayor. Of course, we got District 1, and it looks
Mr.
like
Baca, if
one
you
of
could please keep it to K3,
Cabrera's
which is about
trifecta members has dropped
section.
out of the race. So I'm concerned with that, with the person swearing that they're going to run for office and then drop out and not do anything. And that's on Cabrera. That shows you the type of leadership there
Mr.
is,
Baca,
in
we're
which
talking
our
about the-
elections are being manipulated
for me,
by,
please.
and the people being brought.
Mr. Baca, I just want to make sure we're staying on K3, which is talking about the cancellation of the November 5th.
Yes, and I'm also talking about the election, so that's relevant. You just interrupted me, but regardless.
Didn't start the clock.
We're talking about the cancellation of the meeting, and we're talking about the election, and I hope everybody takes their time to elect and vote for the right candidate for our city, which would not be Mr. Mayor Cabrera. Thank you.
The next speaker is Roy Blackard.
First off, I would like to thank the mayor, council, and staff for giving me plenty of material for my 3-minute dissertations up here on what you do. I will point you to the fact that on November 5th at 9:30, the County Board of Supervisors has scheduled a regular meeting, just like they usually do. They did in the March primary. Just because, you know, that nobody else takes 9 weeks off for summer vacation either. You ought to look at the precedents you guys set when you put these things forward and you proffer them. As Ms. Palomares pointed out, well, you canceled this one, it's 3 more weeks down the road of that. Just like you're trying at every point to stifle our speech, our ability to come up here and speak. This is a commuter town. You know, we had less commuter problems back there 10, 15, 20 years ago than we do today, but 2 of you could not accommodate or take into consideration the 200,000 plus citizens of Moreno Valley that can't get there. And you know what? Kids sit there and wait at this Moreno Valley Unified Disorganized Crime Syndicate at 6 o'clock. I don't think them getting there before 6:30 is any big deal, but this is a problem that we have. This is your record. Just as you're demonstrating at this meeting, your competency level, how you proceed, how you argue these and put these things before us and before the community and before the world. Whether you know it or not, everybody looks at it and judges how you put these agenda items and proffer them forward. This is another example of how Moreno Valley looks like a clown show. Other jurisdictions do it much bigger than you. But again, I believe it's not to the point of, oh, it's doing that. I believe, and I think the evidence clearly shows you're doing this to stifle us in the community, just like you did in your, 2 of you did, especially in your previous votes. So you have a chance to correct it, vote to have the meeting on the 5th, and maybe we'll have a slight chance of turning this city around.
That concludes public comment. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So that brings us now to council deliberation if desired. And I think we have some comments from Councilmember Delgado.
I don't have too much, just that there are some open seats in up here on the dais, and for that, I would motion to approve the cancellation of November 5th's city council meeting. Seeking a second.
I'll second that motion. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote. And that passes with 3 yeses and 1 no. So that brings us next to item L on the agenda, which is the Regional Commission and board reports. We have a few this evening, so we will go first to Councilmember Delgado, who will be providing an update and reports on the March Joint Powers Commission and the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight I'm providing an update from the March Joint Powers Commission meeting that was held on Wednesday, October 2nd, and we met at our new schedule and location. The first Wednesdays at 3 p.m. at the County Board of Supervisors Chamber. We heard an update regarding Cisco in Riverside. We were briefed on the results of the JPA's annual audits, and we approved the Airport Capital Improvement Plan. And that concludes my update on the last March Joint Powers Commission meeting that was held on October 2nd. Next is the Regional Conservation Authority, or RCA. At the RCA Board of Directors meeting that was held on October 7, 2024, reports for the MSHCP fee collection, JPR status, acquisition status, monthly investment, quarterly financial, and state and federal legislative updates were received and filed. Additionally, the board voted to approve item number 7, authorizing an amendment to the existing Strategic Implementation Assessment and Action Plan, or CIAP, and authorizing the executive director to bring a contract amendment to the board of directors for approval to assist the RCA with the background work for a major amendment to the MSHCP to add Crotch's bumblebee as a covered species, to explore alternative permitting pathways, and to support the RCA staff in developing an interim permitting solution to improve the permitting process until the species is covered by the MSHCP. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for November 4, 2024 at 12:30 at the County of Riverside Administrative Center in Riverside. And that concludes my report on the RCA meeting that was held on October 7, 2024.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Appreciate those reports. Next up, I will be providing one report for the Riverside County Transportation Commission, which held our meeting on October 9th. And the update includes that the commission adopted a resolution authorizing prepayment of the 2017 United States Department of Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Loan for the I-15 Express Lane project in the amount of approximately $173 million. The commission also heard a presentation of the Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure Update. And the only other thing that I'd like to update on is that in moving forward at future meetings, definitely look forward to getting a little more proactive and more aggressive to address the congestion issues that we are experiencing on a daily basis on the 60 and the 215. And I've had meetings with RCTC staff. Arguably the biggest roadblock besides funding, which is always the biggest part, is the space next to and on the sides of the existing freeways. That's kind of the next biggest roadblock, is there's not that much space to widen the freeways. So definitely trying to figure out other innovative solutions to addressing congestion in and out of Moreno Valley is at the top of our list. And then lastly, I'll come back with more information on this, but Caltrans is scheduled to do improvements on the 215. It's emergency pavement work that they'll be doing from Ramona south into the city of Paris, but also heading into 2026, they'll be doing other additional work on the 215 freeway from Ramona north into the 60 freeway all the way to Blaine. So I'll bring back some more information and hope to provide that update at a future council meeting. So that'll conclude my report on the last Riverside County Transportation Commission meeting. Next, we have a report from the Riverside Transit Agency from Mayor Pro Tem Bernard.
Tonight I'm providing updates from the RTA Board Administrative and Operations Committee meeting held on October 2nd. In 2000, RTA implemented Oracle e-Business Suite as its core software. In order for RTA to maintain premier support from Oracle, the current environment will need to be upgraded to the latest version. The committee approved to authorize staff to award an agreement to DataVal Corporation to upgrade the application system and database in the amount of $284,000, $284,000. And that concludes my report on the last RTA Board Administration and Operations Committee meeting. As I said last time, they are still offering free bus rides to all students. They still have grant funding for that. So if you're a student, Moreno Valley Unified, Valverde Unified, as long as you have your ID, even college students. As long as you have your ID, they are offering free rides.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. Next up, we have two reports from Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz, one for WRCOG and another for the School District Joint Task Force.
Thank you. This report is from the October 7th, 2024 Executive Committee meeting. At the WRCOG Executive Committee meeting, reports for fiscal department activities, committees, and agency activities, IREN monthly activities, the Love Your Neighborhood program update, and regional streetlight program activities were received and filed. Additionally, staff recommendations were approved for the following: the approval of the professional services agreement for financial services software, an approval for amendments to a professional services agreement for on-call transportation planning services, the approval of the 2024 TUMF Central Zone 5-year transportation improvement program, and Moreno Valley is part of this Central Zone. The TUMF program agreement for credits and reimbursements, the annual PACE unclaimed hero refunds update, and policy setting parameters for adding agencies to the WRCOG structure. The Executive Committee also discussed the California Air Resource Board, CARB, and California Energy Commission Advanced Technology Demonstration and Pilot Program Grant. Moreno Valley received $635,679 in grant funding, and that will be used to deploy 2 plug-in electric vehicles, a street sweeper and a dump truck, and 3 charging stations, 2 mobile and 1 DC fast charger. The next meeting is scheduled for November 4th, 2024 at 2 p.m. at the County of Riverside Administrative Center, the CAC on Lemon Street. In addition, we did also get a report on the high amount of unclaimed monies that is at the state. So if you have not checked recently on unclaimed funds, please go to www.claimit.com and check for any funds that you have at the state controller's office. This often includes deposits, utilities, last payments, and some funds that may have been sent out to you and never claimed. So please check your names on the Claim It website. The next update is from our school district and city joint task force. This meeting is a meeting held every other month between groups that have to do with our children. So today we heard some updates from our police department, including an announcement of their Trunk or Treat event that will be held on Monday, October 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in front of City Hall on Calle San Juan de los Lagos, and it will be extending down Corporate Way this year, so it's getting bigger. It will mirror last year's event with minimal scary elements. Once the event concludes, no additional attendees will be admitted. You do need to be in line early. It fills up, so please come on down. In addition, Parks and Community Services, they have a hike to the top on Saturday, this Saturday the 19th at 7:30 a.m., and they're meeting at Terry Peak off JFK. As well as on Friday, following Halloween, November 1st at 6 to 10 p.m. in the amphitheater, we'll have our Day of the Dead, a holiday celebrated in Latin culture where families commemorate and welcome back the souls of those they have lost. Those honoring the deceased will place offerings on their altars, called ofrendas, such as their favorite foods and personal gifts. We'll have music and dance, and also will be used to awaken the souls and reunite families together again. We also have our Color Fun Run coming up on the 16th of November. That is sure to sell out, so please buy your tickets early. The colorful event begins at the amphitheater and includes walkers, strollers, and dogs on leashes invited to participate as well. It's an untimed event. Everybody can participate, but please buy your tickets early because it will sell out. In addition, we have the Snow Day holiday tree lighting ceremony and the city's 40th birthday. That will be on December 7th from 10 to 5 p.m. And that will be the snow day, and the holiday tree lighting 40th anniversary will start at 5:45 p.m. This will be the city's 40th anniversary. It's actually on December 3rd, but we'll be celebrating that Saturday on the 7th. The school district's holding a trunk or treat at Moreno Valley High School on the 30th, and Val Verde Unified's band is going to be participating in the Rose Parade, so make sure to watch them on January 1st, and they'll be at the Disneyland Parade the next day. Wow, crazy. And the next meeting for the joint school board city will be December 17th. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, and that'll conclude all of our regional commission and committee reports for this evening. That brings us to M, and we have no employee association reports, which brings us to one of our most exciting items on our agenda. Always puts a smile on our faces, always some great information. It is time for the famous city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. Just 2 items tonight. First, I would like to welcome our new Community Development Director, Angelica Frostolupo. She has joined us from the city of South Pasadena, where she previously served as a Community Development Director. Her background, she's over 20 years of local government experience in various cities. She is a graduate of the Master Program of Public Administration from the Cal State University Northridge, and she's a various award winner either from CalEd or various different organizations. So we're very, very lucky to have her. As I mentioned, right now there is all cities are competing for top talent. So thank you for allowing me to fill this recruitment for her, and we're quite excited to bring her on board for this in our organization. And then secondly is thank you for approving the senior center expansion, and we're ready to do the groundbreaking ceremony. So that's going to happen on Tuesday, October 22nd at 3 p.m., of course, at the senior center. So please come out. It's a free event. I'm sure all the seniors are going to be very excited. So do come out. We expect a strong turnout for that event. And that concludes my presentation for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. City Manager. I really appreciate that. And thank you for making sure that you bring some top talent. So welcome to the city of Moreno Valley. Look forward to working with you. You have an amazing team here. So definitely congratulations again. That brings us next to council closing comments, and we'll go first to Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Thank you. Since the last meeting, I did participate in a couple of events I'd like to share. Of course, my favorite event was this past Saturday, Beautify Moval. We got to come together as community and clean up our city. So I was at Gateway Park, and I got to paint and pick up some mulch and some tree branches. I just couldn't get that out. But it was great spending time with community and putting some kids to work and beautifying our city. So that was a great event. Last weekend, I went to the grand opening of a new barber shop on Paris Boulevard by the Food for Less. Beautiful shop with really nice lighting. So if you're looking for a new barber, you might want to stop there and make sure you take a picture. It looks like the type of place you'd want to take some selfies in. So I welcome you to visit that new location. And I did get a chance to tour some students that were here from Thailand. They were between the ages of 12 and 17. The supervisor sponsored them to come on down. So we did show them around the county, city hall, the police station, and their favorite location that they said was the fire station. So thanks for welcoming them, and they had a blast. They couldn't stop talking about the fire station. So thank you so much for touring the students and making us look good. That's pretty much, and we'll be heading off to a conference. So I look to be learning a lot, hearing from other communities and seeing what, bragging about what we're doing and learning from them about what they're doing and see what we can bring back home. So I look forward to the next couple of days of learning a lot at that conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, closing comments from Councilmember Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz. And I just want to let the chief and the police chief know that the kids were excited to sit in the recliners at the fire station. And that was the highlight of their day because they knew they were well guarded because the firefighters were well rested. I just want to make sure that they knew that. Angelica, welcome. I told Angelica, or I asked her if she had her speech ready, and that all new city employees had to stand up and go to the microphone where the mayor was earlier and give her speech, and she said she did not prepare because Sean didn't tell her, but next time, we'll put you on the spot.
Can we cancel the next meeting?
Yeah. All right, so welcome, Angelica, and I'm sure that you'll go home, take notes, and tell your husband that this was a very flowery meeting. So I too attended the Beautify Moval this Saturday. It was awesome. Myself and Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz got to work with a bunch of kids that were working way harder than us, and they had way more energy, but it was fun to try to keep up with them, so it was really cool. I drive by that park that we were up in, Gateway Park, up in District 2, and it night and day, from the trees being trimmed to the brand new paint and all the mulch for the kids in their playgrounds. Very, very, very cool. A couple meetings ago, we approved the coordination with the county supervisor regarding the Pettit Road. Myself and the supervisor met up there last week and looked at the road. It looks amazing, and he has committed to make sure that he follows up with their concerns regarding that road when the rains come. So it's still dirt, but very, very well groomed, so that we were happy to see that. Last Saturday night, I believe it was Saturday night, myself and Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz were able to present trophies to the Canyon Springs Marching Band competition at Canyon Springs High School on the field, and it was really cool. I've never seen a band competition before, and it is very ceremonial, very ceremonial. I had no idea that the stuff that they were talking and doing, their cadence to present an award, they were literally presenting an award through cadence. It was pretty cool, so we did that. And a couple other things, we talk about voting. Some of the community members talk about voting and doing the research, and I implore you to please do the research. Some may have already voted. One proposition on the ballot that I feel extremely strong about is Prop 36. 3-4 years ago, I was walking into a Rite Aid with my daughter, and here comes two individuals with 2 bags of product, and here comes the store manager on the phone walking, chasing them out, but they were not concerned. These 2 individuals that had a bag each full of goods that they did not pay for were not concerned that the manager was on the phone with the police. Why? Because of Prop 47. Prop 36, we have an opportunity to clean that up. A speaker came out tonight talking about the kids stealing with 0 consequence, because they know that Prop 47 is there to protect them. And when they steal, there are no consequences. So we have an opportunity in the state of California to clean that up. We all have families. We all have children. We all want to go to the store and feel like we're safe. We all want to go to the store and grab any product off the shelves that we want instead of having them locked up. The state of California, Rite Aid, Target, many stores, CVS, have locked up their products because there are no consequences. This proposition gives everybody an opportunity to turn that around. This is not, and I'm going to say it again, this is not a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. This is a public safety thing. So while you're, regardless of what party you affiliate with, while you're casting your ballot, nobody's looking over your shoulder from the other party. No one's looking over your shoulder from the party. If you feel inclined to vote to clean this proposition, to Prop 47, to clean this up and to provide real consequences for these folks stealing and committing crimes, then vote for it. And then seal your envelope and send it in. No one's gonna know. I don't want it to be, well, my party that I'm affiliated with would be very upset with me if I voted yes for this. Who cares? It's not about them. It's about you and your family and public safety. When you go down to the store, you want to be able to go into the store without walking over someone that's asleep in front of the store. There are no consequences right now. So I'm not telling you who to vote for or what to vote for, but I do want to let you know that this is a public safety thing and has nothing to do with politics. We, as humans and as politicians, turn it into politics, but it's truly not about politics. It's truly about public safety. So again, read the ballot, read what it is about, and hopefully you'll vote yes for it. But on those lines, please take care of your families, take care of the ones you love, have a great few weeks. We'll see when we get back from after the election, and we'll just get down to business, city business, and be kind to one another. Angelica, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right in.
Next up, Mayor Pro Tem Bernard.
So always. So I just want to talk about, I did the Beautify Moval event this weekend for Vista Lomas Park. And so it was good to see everyone out there. And I was very excited to see more than a few students out there. They normally show up right as their hours are due, right before graduation. But they were out there early, getting their hours and doing good in the community. So I really appreciate their teachers and everyone getting them out there for that. One thing that Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz forgot to mention today, Valverde will have their version of a trunk or treat. It's called, Nightmare on Morgan Street. They will have that on tomorrow at Valverde High School is where it will be. So that will be tomorrow for Valverde. Also, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Councilmember Delgado was saying. Again, we won't see everyone again until after the election. I implore everyone to do their research, vote however you want. I dropped my ballot off on Sunday. As soon as I got it, I filled it out, I'm done. But please, do your research. Nobody knows what's in any of those envelopes. Once you seal it up, how you vote, that is up to you, and that is your choice on how you vote. But I will say this, and I say this very often, democracy is not a spectator sport. If you care about what happens in your community, we oftentimes hear people come up here and have these discussions. If you care about what happens in your community, then it is up to you to vote. And I will say it like I always do. If you didn't vote, then you were agreeing with whatever happened. And I also don't want to hear you wake up the next day and complain about it. There are tons of things that are on the ballot that people often come to us about that concern them. So if you don't research it, if you don't like what you see, I often will tell you, well, did you vote? And if the answer is no, I don't even understand what we're complaining about. This is not a spectator sport. This election in particular, I think there are a number of things that we need to figure out in this country, what side we are gonna line up on and what we want this country to be and what this country will be in the future. I did hear one speaker say on a podcast that I listened to that one thing that the founders had always intended, and I do know this, is that the Constitution was supposed to be redone every 22 years. And we were always supposed to make sure that we were doing amendments as the world and as our country was evolving. And the last set of amendments that we tried to get through were in 1970. And as far as I'm concerned, those amendments stopped because that was the equal rights protection. And once those amendments stop, I feel like our country has just decided it was going to constrict itself, and it hasn't grown since. So I think people really need to look and see what's on the ballot, who's running for these seats. You do not have to accept what anybody's giving you from either party in a two-party system, which, by the way, the founders also knew we should probably have a third party, a three-party system. So there are a lot of things. But again, if we're complacent and we don't vote, we don't know what's going on. So instead of complaining and being on the sidelines and talking to me or any of us about how you feel like we're not doing anything, I implore you to do something that I was trained to do as a social worker as well as a union president. Organize. It's more than just sitting around, showing up and talking. Organize, talk to your neighbors, gather them up and have these discussions. Because when you organize, you get things done. And although she stole one of my favorite union quotes, and now everyone's using it, it's what we say every time we were doing a contract. When we fight, we win. And I truly believe that. So go out, do your research. You guys got about 3 weeks left. Make some choices, make some decisions. And I'll just end with, I love my black job.
Amen, amen. Very well said. And thank you to my colleagues for their updates. Just a few items here. Over the past couple weeks, I've been able to attend several events One of them was the college kickoff parade at LaSalle Elementary. Thank you to the principal and vice principal for inviting me out there. It was really, really well organized. I was really impressed by just how well the students were, marching in the parade and listening to their teachers. It was really impressive. And they actually had a little performance from the Rancho Verde High School band, which is going to be in the Rose Parade. So that was really nice to get a little show there. So hats off to LaSalle Elementary. They're doing an amazing job. I also was a panelist at UCR. It's my alma mater. And it's something I was looking forward to for a long time. Any opportunity that I get to go back to UCR, I don't even think about it. I'm there. And so it was an honor to be invited to speak as a panelist alongside Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes and 2 Riverside City Council members that all 4 of us are alum. So we had the opportunity to come back and just share a little bit about our public service with other alumni as well as current students that are in the public policy major as well as political science. So it was really, really nice to just go out there and have that conversation with them. So appreciate UCR for the invitation. Also at UCR 2 days later, went back. I'm telling you, any reason I get, I'm there. But this was very important because there was a presentation from the president of Southern California Edison. It was a roundtable. The supervisor was there. A lot of other electeds were there as well. And so basically it was a conversation about what does the future look like, especially on infrastructure, particular electrical infrastructure, to supply enough energy for the rapid development that we're seeing here in the Inland Empire. And so that was a very, very important conversation that we had. And I'm really excited to see these projects in other cities where they're heavily investing into energy production through things like solar farms, and also along with that, creating battery facilities for energy storage. So that's something that I hope in the near future, the city of Moreno Valley will also be able to move into for long-term sustainability and viability of our city. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the Inland Empire Community Foundation Cielo Fund Grants and Scholarships Brunch over in the city of Palm Springs, actually at the Palm Springs Convention Center. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Jesse Melgar, Angel Rodriguez, Michelle Decker. All of them are leading the IECF. And the Cielo Fund, this is the 2nd year that they do this brunch. And something special that they do, actually 2 things out of everything that they do. They awarded another round of scholarships to students, and they awarded another round of grants to nonprofit organizations that are either Latino-led or Latino-serving nonprofit organizations. And some of those include nonprofits that are from the city of Moreno Valley. So just a huge shout out, because in 2 years, they are now up to over $2 million of funding, of contributions that they've been able to receive, and they're reinvesting that money back into the community. So huge shout out to the IECF. They're doing amazing work. Also, last Friday, I was able to attend the Adrian Mitchell Park lighting event. Huge shout out to the Edgemont Women's Club and the Soroptimist Club, and also all of the city staff that worked to make that possible. That was led by the community, by the Edgemont Women's Club. They were able to get grant funding from UC Davis, and that paid for new lights that were installed at Adrian Mitchell Park. And they had the In-N-Out truck on Friday, and the turnout was amazing. And it's just really nice to hear the feedback from the residents that the lighting, something as simple as 10 new lights at a park can make such a huge difference and impact how they feel safer, right? They feel more comfortable. They're able to bring out their kids and their families to play on the playground. So shout out to the Edgemont Women's Club for that one as well. Attended Beautify Moval, as my colleagues mentioned also. Those are always great. So we'll see you at the next Beautify Moval in Q1 of 2025. Yesterday at Oasis Church, the church, in collaboration with the Riverside Sheriff's Department, the chief was there, had a Faith and Blue event that was absolutely amazing. It was great. It was really, really nice, and the weather was awesome. So shout out to the Sheriff's Department and to Oasis Church for putting that together. Also, a happy belated birthday to my son. He turned 3 years old officially yesterday. So he's getting older. It's flying by like that. So in a few years, when you're older, son, hopefully you can look this up and look back on this birthday wish for you. So happy birthday to you. We'll be at the League of California Cities the rest of this week, starting tomorrow through Friday. And then in closing, I actually want to make 2 proposals, and I'll be making motions as well, seeking a second for both of these. The first one is actually, I've gotten a lot of requests from the community, from residents, really saying that we don't have currently any park facilities or recreational facilities in the city that are specifically for anyone with disabilities. And so that's something that I would love for our city to look at, to see what our options are and how we can bring that to the city of Moreno Valley, whether that's upgrading an existing park or getting that included as part of a park that will be coming in the future. So I do want to actually make a motion to direct staff to start working on that and add an item to our January agenda to look at what options we have to bring a park specifically for those with disabilities to the city of Moreno Valley. So that'll give staff enough time to work on something and give us options in January. So I'll make a motion on that and seeking a second as well.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I think that's sufficient to add it to the January agenda. So I appreciate that, Mayor Pro Tem, and we'll have that deliberation in January. And then the second and final item that I have, we all know that homelessness is continuing constant concern for all of our residents. As Councilmember Delgado mentioned, we all have personal experiences with it. And I've mentioned before that Project Homekey Plus is something that the state recently announced. That is a $2.2 billion funding opportunity that's coming up. $1 billion of that is specifically carved out and earmarked for veterans who are either on the brink of homelessness or currently experiencing homelessness. And so my motion would be to bring back an item to the city council direct staff, a motion to direct staff to work with the County of Riverside, to work with the March Joint Powers Authority, which both Councilmember Delgado and I sit on, to support and pursue a Homekey Plus application to fund the expansion of the U.S. Vets facility on the March JPA or anywhere else on JPA properties, and work with the council to identify any viable options. So I'm seeking a second on that as well.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have a second from Councilmember Delgado. And is that sufficient for staff?
That's all we need.
Okay. Okay. Well, I went way over my time, but I'll go ahead and conclude. Happy holidays to everybody. Please go out and vote. And yes, thank you for the reminder, Councilmember. So just again, want to recognize that this month we are shining a spotlight on breast cancer awareness, and anyone that has been affected by that or is on the front lines, making sure that our community gets the services that they need for breast cancer, and make sure that they have everything that they need. So really, really proud that the council and staff made that proclamation and we were able to present it to Kaiser. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude today's meeting and adjourn at 7:53 p.m. Have a good night.
I want to ask media if they cut that soundbite of Roy thanking everybody and then just cut it right there. I want